We'll take this to the microscope. The S26 Ultra is here, and while it doesn't seem like Samsung changed that much with this phone, they changed a lot more than you think. And there it is. This color is definitely interesting. Not my favorite. It's a bit dull, but it does look pretty classy. In this video, we're obviously going to be tearing this phone down, seeing what Samsung changed on the inside, but we're also going to be getting a very close look at the display's privacy feature. How does that look under the microscope, and what did Samsung change to make that possible? So, oh, what the hell? So this phone is actually the thinnest Ultra ever, at 7.99 millimeters, which is weird because Samsung didn't really advertise that more. It's also lighter because, well, they switched back to aluminum after selling us on the titanium like crazy. The body is also a bit more curved on this model. You have these curved edges, and one thing that's kind of strange is that if you pop out the S Pen, flip it around, and put it back in, it doesn't quite fit the way it's supposed to. Before we open this up, I'm gonna set this up so that we can get a very close look at that new privacy screen feature under the microscope. Technically, this isn't the first built-in privacy display. HP laptops have had privacy screens for years using a physical film and some backlight tricks, but those work at the panel level, blocking the entire screen at once. The S26 Ultra is the first consumer device to implement privacy at the pixel level, meaning you can block specific parts of your screen and not others. So to access the privacy feature, you just go to the control center, hit privacy display, and then you can just turn it on. There is a noticeable decrease in brightness and screen resolution, and we'll show you exactly why under the microscope. So here are the pixels under the microscope, and when I turn on the privacy feature, you can see half of them just turned off, and that's because the S26 Ultra has two types of pixels baked into the same panel. They have wide angle pixels, which are normal ones, and then narrow angle pixels, which focus their light almost directly forward like a spotlight. When the privacy mode is turned on, the wide pixels turn off and only the narrow ones stay on, which is what creates the privacy effect. The thing is though, this reduces the viewing experience or the resolution of the device because, well, there's less pixels. It's not something you'd want to keep on all the time. It's an extremely cool feature, but it does come with a disadvantage, which I personally think is totally worth it, but the viewing angles on this phone are a little bit worse than other phones. Not by that much, but it is worth noting. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, it's time to tear this phone down. This is the Taurus Q3 Air, and it's the best case you'll ever own for your Galaxy S26 Ultra. This case has a rotating stand that lets you adjust it to any angle, and not just adjust, it locks into place so that this phone isn't going anywhere. Whether you're watching something, filming, or just keeping your phone on your desk, it just works. It also doubles as MagSafe magnets. Since the S26 Ultra doesn't come with any, all you need is a case like this, and you're back in business. This case looks amazing, but it's not just for show. It's very protective. It has these airbag corners for drops to disperse the impact force across the case, so it's not just directed in one small area. Not to mention, the sides are grippy. You got these grips here so that when you're holding the phone, it's not going anywhere. Most cases don't really do much. This case does it all. It even kind of doubles as a fidget spinner, although I don't recommend you do that. If you guys want to pick one of these up, click the link in the comments or the description and grab one for yourself. It's worth it. Back to video. The S26 Ultra is done cooking. We're going to be using a massive suction cup because the jig over there makes things a little bit too easy. We'll slap it on, and just like all Samsungs, we're going to pull up on here, apply some isopropyl alcohol. This phone is IP68 water and dust resistant, and the back glass is made of Gorilla Victus 2, which is the same as the S25 Ultra. The back glass is coming up, so it's now IP absolutely nothing because we've broken the seal. Hopefully we don't break the back glass though. The back glass is a bit different than the S25 Ultra in that this piece looks like it's separate. So with the S25 Edge, we actually broke the glass because there's a massive gap under here, and this area here is a weak point. So if you're prying this back glass, make sure you're extra careful around this area here because you can break it. Open it up and take a look at that camera. Thing is absolutely massive, and the wireless charging coil also looks a little bit different this year. So if we remove the back glass here, I believe I'm right. The camera bump is actually a separate piece on the glass. This is probably glued on. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but it does make it a little less durable right over here. I think it's finally time to talk about this, the wireless charging coil. So Samsung did upgrade the charging speeds this year to 25 watts, but we still don't have MagSafe magnets, and a lot of people are upset by that. But what if I told you Samsung actually has a decent reason for it? See, MagSafe magnets complicate reverse wireless charging, and Samsung seems to have prioritized reverse wireless charging over MagSafe capabilities. Of course, if you do want MagSafe, you could just use this. We'll peel back the wireless charger, and I'm gonna put some gloves on so I don't smudge those cameras. So right now we can go ahead and disconnect the battery, and then we should be able to disconnect the top speaker up here. Should just come out just like that. And there we go. So on the wireless charger here, we have the speaker connected via this tape down here. The speaker obviously is water resistant with its red rubber gasket here. And then we have the S Pen charger up here, or the S Pen detector now. Over here we have a little temperature sensor. These are very typical on Samsung phones. And then obviously over here we have the wireless charging connector. We'll put this aside. I noticed something a little bit strange. So I disconnected what I thought was the battery connector, and if we flip this around, well, the phone is still on. And that's because there actually appears to be two battery connectors on the battery. If I disconnect this one, the phone is now off. I'm not 100% sure that they're both connected to the battery, but to know, I obviously have to remove all of these cables. This phone charges at 60 watts wired, and obviously the 25 watt wireless charging, which might explain why there's two connectors for the battery, so that it can charge a little bit faster. Now we can remove the charging port and the SIM card tray. There's also a microphone here, and something a lot of people don't know about these microphones is that they actually have their own channels to keep things waterproof and water resistant. The microphone is connected to this area here, which goes through this channel and has a hole over here so that sound can pass through. Now we have a close look at that battery, and I can confirm that there are two connectors here. Samsung most likely added two connectors because pushing 60 watts through a single connector could cause it to overheat during fast charging. By splitting it between two connectors, each one probably only handles about 30 watts, which would keep them cooler and safer. Plus, if one connector gets damaged or disconnected, the phone can still work with just the other one. This battery is 5,000 milliamp hours, the same as many of the past generations. Still no silicon carbon batteries, but we'll get them one day. Removing this battery is so easy with these pull tabs. I absolutely love them. I hope Samsung continues to use them for a long time. And what I also hope Samsung continues to do for a long time is increase the size of the vapor chamber. Take a look at that. So this is 15% larger than the S25 Ultra, and it's taking a really big chunk of the phone now. Moving on to the cameras. So up here is the 50 megapixel ultra wide camera. Over here is the 200 megapixel wide angle camera, and down here is the 50 megapixel telephoto camera, which is actually an ALOP camera, and that allowed Samsung to make it much smaller than last year's while still maintaining high levels of zoom. The crazy thing is Samsung never actually announced this officially, they just kind of did it. Over here we have the 10 megapixel telephoto camera, and Samsung actually widened the aperture of two of these cameras so that it performs better in low light. We have two screws over here, and now we can disconnect this cable and the front camera. The motherboard should just lift right up now, just like that, and boom, we have the motherboard removed. So under here we have the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 with 12 gigabytes of RAM, and this is also a sandwich board. As usual, that's pretty much the standard now. It's time to remove the screen. I want to see if this display is thicker than the S25 Ultra's display, and if there's anything else that looks different. To remove the display, we can clamp it down in this jig and then apply heat and isopropyl alcohol. You should not be prying when trying to remove these displays. You almost exclusively have to rely on the suction cup to do the work, and when the display is lifted up enough, you can gently pull it away from the housing. And we have removed the display. Taking a look at this, it doesn't seem that much thicker, but we won't know until we get the S25 Ultra display right beside it. We now have the S26 Ultra screen and the S25 Ultra screen side by side, and if we flip them on their side, there doesn't seem to be any major differences in thickness. There is a little bit of a difference when it comes down to screen replacement costs, which is something I've been extremely curious about, and it turns out Samsung released the replacement prices. So the S26 Ultra screen replacement, if Samsung does everything everything for you will cost 331 Canadian dollars, which is only $16 more than the S25 Ultra screen replacement, which is way better than I thought. I'm really surprised by that. Overall, the S26 Ultra gets a thumbs up from me, and I hope I can get a thumbs up from you because the phone is still working after I put it back together. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.